Would you just give us a short summary of the reason why you wrote the book and what is in the book?
Sure. It's a book I never really expected to write. I've tried to avoid the concept of leadership for many years. When I studied emotional intelligence from 25 years ago on, it was really focused on the individual. Why do some people perform better than other people, and how does that affect their lives? And that was my focus, and I kind of avoided the leadership. And it may be partly because I didn't want to find my own flaws as a leader and didn't want to look at that. But the conversation became louder and louder everywhere I looked, that emotional intelligence was being tied to leadership. And the conversation was going in strange directions. There were people saying things like, well, it probably counts for 85% of leadership, to next to none of leadership. So it was all over the place, and it wasn't very evidence-based. It was very messy. So I figured at this point, I felt I really should join the conversation, and I really should do it from a research base. And plus, we have the largest database of emotional intelligence of anyone in the world. We've probably got more than 2 million people in our database, many of whom are leaders, both successful and not so successful. And plus, Wiley, the publisher, just happened to phone me and ask me if I'd be willing to do it. So all the timing just seemed to be right. It's not as though I planned it. Yeah, it was all at one, synchronicity. And I said, okay, and I just plunged into it. And I'd been talking about it or thinking about it for a little while now. And then once I got into actually formally writing a book about it, I dove into it. I lived it for like 7 months and looked at our own research that we've published and some that we haven't published. And then I've looked at other people's research and done dozens of other books. And that's really what brought me to it. What do we conclude, or what do we say? I think it sort of points towards what leaders of today need to be successful, leaders of tomorrow. And 4 things stood out. And they all relate to emotional intelligence. One is authenticity. If you're not authentic, real, or believable, you're not going to succeed as a leader. The second one was coaching. People today in the workplace want to learn, they want to develop, they want to get something out of the workplace. It's not just a matter of telling people what to do and standing back. And the third one is what I call insight, but what it really means is having a purpose to your work, having a reason. People want to come to work because there's something there in it, not just for them, but for the world. Yeah. They're making a difference. Value, change. And the final one is innovation. You have to be innovative. You have to come up with something new, thinking out of the box, not be disrupted by others in the industry and so on. So those 4 things seem to come together, and I think in the book I really do a good job of justifying why those 4 characteristics really are the direction to go if you want to be a successful leader. And there's a blueprint in terms of how to get there. How do you develop in each of those areas? And I think that's what's going to be really valuable for people to learn.
It's always such a privilege to be able to talk to you, and we can't wait to read the book. So thank you so much for the questions and answers.
Thank you, Hopi. Thank you very much.